So one of the most important, stressful, and busy days that you will have when you live full-time on the road is a travel day. And today is a travel day. But what is a travel day? We are going to show you. Today, from start to finish, we will show you what we do on travel days. You have the inside, where Sarah handles most of it with the kids, and then the outside, where I handle most of it. One of the keys to our travel days is Google Keep. We keep lists in there for the morning of when we leave, the day before when we leave, hitching, unhitching. That way we're not forgetting any steps. We can keep track of what we've done versus what we haven't done. A tip that I would give you is to check the weather, because there's a lot of things to do outside, and if it's going to rain the day you leave, you're going to want to do it the day before. So we've already flushed the black tank once. We've flushed one of the gray tanks. One quick note on the tanks. The gray tanks are our water that we use that goes into the system. The black tank is for waste water. So our waste and the water we use to flush it. So for us, we have two gray tanks. We have the shower gray tank, as I call it, which is the shower and the bathroom sink. We have the kitchen gray tank, which is the kitchen sink. And then, of course, we have our black tank, which is the toilet. And we only have one black tank. All of ours goes out of one exit point. I know some campers have two. Ours all tie into one exit point. So that's what it is. Gray water in the gray tank is sink water, shower water. Black tank is wastewater. And you may ask, why would you flush the black tank the day before you leave? And the answer is that we've had it clogged twice, and in Massachusetts we had a problem with Park's drainage system. And the last thing I want is the day of traveling to realize we've got a black tank issue. If you want to risk it and drain yours the day of, go ahead. But we drain ours the night before, one of our gray tanks the night before to help clean the lines out, and then we wait, and the next day we drain our other gray tank. Getting gas the day before, not the day of. Checked the liquid levels, so we check our antifreeze and oil. Oil because it's always good to do that. Antifreeze because our truck has had a leak in the past. And I've cleaned up all of the items outside. So everything outside right now either goes into the back of the truck, or once it's loaded up, it comes in here. I'm going to check the air pressure today, sweep off the slides, pick up the remaining things outside, which are things that either need to come in here when we travel, or they go in the back of the truck. This morning should be a pretty easy day outside. So one of the most important things on a travel day is your tire pressure. So we have this TPMS system from Gouda. So that's a tire pressure monitoring system. So this will read the temperature of our tires and the PSI for each of our tires. So our system, and I think most of these systems do come with this, but you have these little sensors that you put on all of the tires. So all four of the truck tires, all four of the camper tires, they send the signal to this. Now our camper, being 42 feet, the signal won't reach from the cab of the truck all the way to the back of the camper. So we've got an extender that we just hook up to our battery, and that helps boost the signal from the truck to the back of the camper and then back. So that's what we do. Now, the tire pressure. We had to do a lot of research. So the industry standard temperature for your tires is 68 degrees. Meaning when it says, hey, your tire should be at 65 psi, it's assuming the tire is at 68 degrees. So for our vehicles and our camper, and you should look this up for your tires, the front tires of the truck should be at 65 psi, when they're 68 degrees. The back tires of the truck should be at 75 psi when they're at 68 degrees. And then the camper tires should be at 95 psi when they're at 68 degrees. The reason that's important, especially if you travel full time, is that in the winter, your tires are not going to be at 68 degrees. In the summer, your tires are not going to be at 68 degrees. In the shade or in the sun, it will change the temperature of your tires. And you don't want to overinflate your tires. So say the temperature is really cold, you don't want to inflate your tires up to 65 psi. Then when you hit the road, the tires heat up, the psi jumps way up, you could have a blowout. Now when it comes to the temperature, for instance, in this trip, when we were leaving and loading up, the driver side camper tires and the passenger side truck tires all were low. So I was going to need to add air to those. But I noticed that the temperature of the tires was really low because they were on the shady side of the camper and we were in Maine where temperatures are lower. So I waited until we were about to leave. The sun had risen up more. By the time we were loading up to leave, they were all at the right psi. So that's why the temperature is important. So you want to set the psi of your tires based on the temperature. So we account for that. And for us, and based on the research that we've done, we are okay with psi that is within 4 of the recommended psi. So if our tires, for instance, are supposed to be 95 on the camper, as long as they're within 91 to 99, we're assuming that that's probably going to be okay. That's just based on our research. Maybe you want to be closer than that, but that's what we do. Now, if they are low, we have a Vi-Air air compressor that will air up our tires. We have tried Home Depot, Lowe's, battery operated. We've had multiple different air compressors that we've tried to use on the tires, and it takes forever. The Vi-Air, on the other hand, airs them up quick. And the reason I talk about it in probably every 4th video, I mention it randomly because I love it. It will air your tires up so fast with no issues. You can hook it up to the battery of your truck. You can hook it up to the battery of your camper and then just run it to the tires. Super simple. So we always have dishes left over because we like to snack. So I washed all the dishes this morning because it was my turn. I think it was really Lucas's turn, but I think he tricked his mama and convinced her that it was my turn. So I just didn't. But that gray tank is full, and I like to leave one of the gray tanks full so that the morning we leave, I can drain that gray tank, and I feel like it cleans out the pipe. So next I'm going to sweep the slides. Swept. I don't really know if that's the best way. I do it in the mornings because I just feel like if anything has fallen on the camper at night, I want to be able to get that off. But in the morning it's also always wet and damp, which then makes it harder to sweep the slides. But maybe you do also want to get the water off. So I always do it the morning of, but I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Do you do it the morning of or no?
It is 8:23. I have been up about 23 minutes. I laid in bed for about half of that. And then Theo and I got up and got dressed and brushed our teeth. And now he is having some French toast out of the freezer. Say hey! Daddy's brought us in the Starlink stowed up, so Mommy's got to put that up. And I'm going to find me something to eat, because if I don't eat pretty quick when I wake up, I don't feel good. So, alright, so this is our Starlink box. These were the inserts that came in the original box, and we've cut them down. We had it mounted, so we did not use the stand this time. The dogs are hoping to get them some French toast too. This comes out. This goes in. The stand goes on top. So then that goes across there. We try not to unplug it because apparently that cord has some issues. So then I'm going to roll this up. Alright, so the cable is wrapped up. This is the power cable to the router, and then I put the router in. I just kind of throw this stuff on top, and then the lid comes on. Closes, and then this, I believe, is going to get stored in here. Unless Clint found some space, it normally goes right here when we travel. And like I put a towel so it doesn't bang up the wall. Coffee pots are stored in the sink, so we try to make our coffee kind of early, especially Clint, so it can cool down. I'm going to make mine, and then I'll empty the water reservoir and store it in the sink. Coffee pots in the sink. My breakfast, a burrito out of the freezer. The big one there stayed up too late, so he's fussy. The little one, they won't let him get into all their stuff, so he's fussy.
Let me tell you why I'm fussy. Right now, everything's loaded up. As far as the stuff outside, the only thing left is the tote. We've seen a lot of people put them on their ladder, but our ladder honestly just doesn't feel that sturdy. We've also seen people put them underneath, but with our underbelly, I don't know if it'll fit. So if you have one of these, where did you put it, and how's it working out for you? Because right now we're just storing it in the back of the truck. So we got it in there. But like I said, don't really love that spot. So if you have a better spot, let us know.
This is stored there. I also have a cake in there right now, so hopefully that goes over well. This has to be shut. And then in here, which is kind of dirty, so let's back up. Put like our bamboo trivet things and the pot holders to hopefully help the glass in there not break. So basically it's just a lot of finding places for stuff to go. You can see a lot of stuff gets shoved into there. Just hoping nothing breaks. We also emptied both dehumidifiers before we moved and turned them off. Just so we don't have water spilling in here. One's tumped over before, so. We have one in here in the living room, and then we keep one in our bedroom.
Refilling our water. Theo is desperate to get his water. This is
before the water gets unplugged so that we're not refilling from the freshwater tank.
Yeah. We don't know how to trust those tanks, so.
I'm not drinking from it.
Well, we've got our filter hooked up. We do this. Once she gives me the green light, then I unhook the water and drain the tanks. So we got to put the piano stuff on the bed that we don't have anywhere. Kids are cleaning this up. A lot of the little things like jewelry things and remotes go into the drawers, as you can see there. The closet's pretty secure already. Kind of empty this out, and then this room will pretty much be good. And the tricky part is making sure you get all your plugs and anything. So we had, you can see where you have to touch up the paint, but we used to have this right there, and we forgot it. And the slide and it got into a big fight, and the slide won. Oddly enough, stuff never seems to fall out of here, even with those Harpers. Now that it's Theo's, we'll see how it does, but usually not a lot comes out of here. One of the most important things, if you're a parent of a toddler, is to charge your iPads and things. So I don't know if you have iPads. I know some parents don't let their kids have iPads, especially young ones. But when you have a 4, 5, 6 hour drive ahead of you, having an iPad that they can play on for a little bit works. Also, if you're lucky like us, his nap time usually falls while we're on the road. Although as he's gotten older, he fights it really hard now. Most checkout times are at 11 usually. And then most check-ins are at what? Noon?
Noon, 1. Today is 1.
Today is 1. And how far of a drive is it today?
4 hours.
4 hours. That's one of our big ones.
It's mostly interstate though. So like interstate. So I don't know, some people don't like traveling interstate. We like traveling interstate because number 1, you get to go faster. You know, we can go 65 our top. Number 2, you don't have to worry about low bridges. So I think there's a toll. I think 95 will have a toll, but we've got our easy pass toll thing too. So we just drive through.
Yeah. So I know we've heard people who avoid interstates like on purpose. We seek them out. Like if we're going 4 hours and we only have to touch 3 roads, oh my gosh, incredible feeling.
So whenever we're traveling, we pull up the windows blinds so that they don't fall off the wall. One of our jobs is pulling up the window shades so that they don't fall out of the wall because this wiggles a bunch and so it will fall. So we always bring that up, and if this is in it, we just leave it so it doesn't get hot while we're driving down the road for however long that will be. So like this room, I pull that up. This one doesn't have a shade, but all the other ones do. And then once we do that, then we're finished. We just need to pull them all up, and then we're done.
Alright, I turn off all of these because all of this stuff runs on the battery. This has a lot of our lights in here. I get all those turned off, and then I turn off any lights in here because, you know, there's no reason for them to be running. We also take down the curtains and shades in here because they've been known to fall on this window, I guess because it's the back, you know. Oh, I also need to strap these closed, so let me do that. Now that's strapped, it keeps these from popping open, which we've had happen. Surfaces cleaned. Sink is now full of stuff. The rug is rolled up. I'm probably going to have to push that under a little bit more. This whole slide pulls in to about where the trash can is. That whole slide pulls in to about where the trash can is. So we'll basically only have a little sliver in here. So everything's got to get cleaned up. This I'm going to go shake out, and then we have to put this up here, like hanging over, because you can't see it in this low light, but the refrigerator gets scratched up real bad from the cabinet. So the lights are already off in our room, but I like to also turn off the AC, and then I'll turn off zone 1, which is the rest of the camper, before we leave, and make sure all lights are off. Everything's off in here. You'll see we've got bunch of stuff slammed in there. Lights off up here. We've made sure that that vent was closed. Where this vent is closed, we close this, like latch it. The shower has been cleaned out. Nothing there. Harper's brushing her teeth, so we'll make sure the counters are cleaned off and everything. We leave the shower head up there. It's never caused a problem. So Clint still has to empty this. Vacuum cleaner's off the wall. Lights are off. That you can hear the AC's off now. All around the bed is clear because this entire bed, you know, this is a slide. So the entire bed comes in until it touches the dresser. So we have to make sure everything is clear. I like to check down there. Don't see anything. Yeah. So I think we're about ready to start pulling slides in.
So I've been given the green light. We've got everything inside. It's gonna need water done. So I am going to drain all the gray tanks now. Normally I would only drain the gray, but I'm gonna drain the black again this time. Only because the next campsite we go to does not have full hookup, so we'll have no sewer hookup. For the black tank, we flush it and then we close it and let it cycle. We used to only do it a few times, but then we would find that we would get clogs a lot more. Whereas if you flush it for a long time, you get everything out. So whenever we're doing the black tank, I like to let it fill, and I'll just let my timer go until it's like a minute, and then I'll drain it. And then I'll close it again, another minute, drain it, close it again, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and I just keep cycling it like that until the water coming out is clear. So I probably won't have to do that this time because I just flushed it last time, but that's what I typically do. I'm just going to flush it, get all the water out, and then I'll fill it up with a little bit of water because I think it's, from what we've read, it's really bad if you leave your tanks dry. We'll go inside, put treatment into the toilet, and then flush a full toilet bowl worth, and that usually will keep any smells out. It's supposed to help break up stuff in the tank. Also, right now I'm just messing with the handles, but if you touch that pipe, please wear gloves. Also, what I find is that when you disconnect it from the camper and then lift it up as you walk back to the drain, and you get all the excess water out so that it doesn't spill anywhere. So, you know what I mean? I've seen people just take it off, and then when they pick it up to move it, all the water just comes pouring out of the hose. And this is the one duty no one wants to share. So, the one duty. Dad jokes. Now, we have all the dirty stuff up, so now we just gotta unhook the water, and then once Sarah finishes putting in the slides, we unhook the electrical, and then we're pretty much ready to roll, hook the truck up and go. So.
Alright, Lucas is pulling in this slide. I like to have someone watch, just to make sure we're not messing anything up. Okay. Alright, Jack's whining because he hates it when we start pulling in slides. He always thinks we're going to leave him somehow. So I've got to watch this. Clint had to turn it, and it'll be held up anyway, so. And you can't leave the door open because it gets caught on the slide. He's moving the door slowly in because the slide is getting close. So we're good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, one thing, I was just outside doing the sewer. It's actually easier if this slide is in with the sewer, because then you can get to it. Whereas I almost tore my left love handle straight off of my body standing up out there. So if you saw me in the camera jump up and awkwardly walk speedily away, it was to avoid screaming.
Yeah. See that?
Theo's most important thing, packing the snacks.
Mommy,
So we get roast snacks for everybody. The goal is, with a 4-hour trip, if you potty right before you leave, you take the dogs for a good long walk, you pack snacks, you get a nap hopefully, it prevents you from having to stop at all, unless you need to. And with Sarah and Harper, we always need to.
Is to stop every 2 hours. Because that's about how long our bladders can go.
So no one ever told me that goal, the guy that drives, but yeah. Seeing that video on our tips for families, then you know we're big proponents of bikes. And if you haven't seen that video and you have a family, go watch it. And like and subscribe. But one of the bad things about bikes is we have to fit these 2 bikes into the back of the truck and still be able to hook it up. The one trick that we've found is that you raise the camper up higher than you need it, drive, and then you lower it when you get close to the hitch, so you don't even run the risk of hitting these. I know some people put them on racks in the back, but I think our bumper, it says it's like not rated for like adding things to it, so we haven't done that, but maybe that's something we should look into. I don't know.
Alright, the kids are going to take the dogs for their final walk. And then probably go ahead and get them in the truck. Jack's really excited because he always thinks he's going to get left somehow. The refrigerator gets strapped. The freezer up there will get strapped by Clint. And then we will pull in both of these slides and be ready to go. Like a glove. All right, so now this is the scary part. I have to get under here to make sure. You see right, where am I? Right there. Those two little jaws around the really rusty thing, that is our lock, like the actual lock around the pin. That's what makes you hitched. So he's gonna come and close everything up on this now. Yep. So Clint's pulling his mirrors out. He's gonna get in and put the truck in tow mode. I am going to pull these up until they're just wiggling a little bit. And then he's gonna put the truck in drive and just move it a teeny bit to make sure that the kingpin does not come out of the hitch. To make sure basically that we are in fact hitched. We're not gonna go to pull off and the camper fall off of the hitch onto the truck, which has happened and is a fear. All right, so they're starting to wiggle a little bit. We want them up high enough that if he does move, we're not gonna bend them, but not so far that if we were to fall, we break everything. So that looks like that's pretty good. So he's gonna get in, he's gonna put it in drive. He is going to move a little bit, and I'm gonna make sure that the hitch doesn't move. We haven't pulled up the chocks yet. We're never sure if we should or not. It seems like we shouldn't, because like if it does come loose, it seems like, hey, you don't wanna, yeah, we're good. You don't wanna move. You know, you don't want the trailer to just be able to roll, so we don't pick them up. But so he did move, nothing, you know, the camper moved, the hitch did not, or the kingpin in the hitch did not. So now we are going to pull up our chocks, pull up all of this, and check our checklist. So now he is going to get in the truck and let's see, go backwards so that I can pull out the front part of the leveler, and then he's going to go forward so that I can pull out the back part of the leveler. He'll put those up and then we'll check our brakes. We'll do our final walk around and then we'll pull out. Okay. See, I'm still talking to him. All right, now he's going to go forward a little bit, right there. Okay, now he is going to come and get these. All right, so he will put those up and then we are going to check our lights, which you probably won't be able to see. So he normally does left, right, brake, left, right, brake. All right, so after we get going, Clint always checks the brakes, the trailer brakes, to make sure that they will in fact stop us. Yeah. And then we head out. We always, because we didn't, so now we always get the GPS pulled up on our phone, it's on my phone, before we head out of a site, because we never know, like, you know, which way to go or whatever. So we get it pulled up so that we're not sitting out here wondering, like, oh gosh, which way do we go? And like here, we don't have very good cell phone reception. So we got it pulled up before we even pulled out so that we're not blocking the road and, you know, annoyed with each other because we can't get it pulled up. So we're doing our best to cut out the annoyed at each other parts.
Well, one important thing, maybe even more so than the GPS, is updating the app.
Yeah, Clint's always needs to be updated.
I am horrible about updating it. So we a lot of times have to depend on Sarah's phone until we hit service enough for me to get the update.
Yeah.
For me to use my phone. So do better than me on that.
12:16. We've been on the road for around an hour and a half. I guess GPS says an hour, so we've got 2 hours and 43 minutes left on the GPS. These two are napping. This one is watching TV on his phone. This one is driving, thankfully. And I just woke up from a nap too. So I'm going back to take another one. Got anything to say?
Beautiful up here.
Yes.
We fortunately, on a, what was it, 300-mile trip or so, 200 something. However long it's gotten to take to get here, all but 40 miles have been on this same road.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, 95, 295, and 395.
Yeah,
and then
so
we'll get off.
Stay on, stay on, stay on.
Yeah. Which is why I'm napping, because not a lot of navigational help is needed from me. Alright, we got about an hour and a half left. It is, where's my watch? 1:36. So I think that's going to focus. There it goes, 1:30, and then it went off. It's 1:36. This one's awake now. This one's barely sleeping. He's going to try to activate that one, I guess. And then I was going to show y'all, these are these sweet little puppies. Focus, there you go. So this is how they ride a lot of the time. But we are coming up on a rest stop, so we decided that we're going to pull over, let everybody go potty.
Recalculation.
Truck parking.
Straight to Straight Highway Interstate 95.
We have 3 GPSs running. Can you hear them? So we come in, we turn on the water pump, and everybody takes their turn going potty. And then we load back up and get back on the road. We have arrived. It is now 2:49 and we're pulling in.
We're in the calm before the storm. Sarah's in there checking in, so this is when I feel like all the tensions rise about how easy or difficult is the parking going to be. Am I right? And we had like 4 or 5 parks there where we parked terrible and argued. And then I feel like the last one was good. I think the one before that wasn't too bad either, so we're on a streak. I think we just got some that were just terrible, so nothing we could do about it. But now we're getting better. You gotta pee again? This is why we can't ever get anywhere on time, this one. Tinkle McTinkle Tans over here. This one can last the whole trip most of the time. And this one, he just pees in his pants. So he's fine. Probably he might be warmer than the rest of us, but
Yeah.
that's what you get when you pee in your pants. So not my problem.